Hey guys and girls, obviously, welcome back to Fragrance Updates. This is episode number 3. I'll be showcasing some fragrances. I'll be talking about some random thoughts that came to my mind. As you can see, once again, we are outside. You guys seem to enjoy the scenery, and hey, I can't really blame you. This place is absolutely magnificent. Today's topic of conversation will be another of those provocatory ones. Not necessarily provocatory because it's not really polarizing or anything. It's just one of those topics that just pushes you towards self-awareness and just pushes you towards a less consumerism mentality, which I always appreciate because it's always a wake-up call. It's always a nice thing to ground myself to. And these topics just come to my mind as I go. Sometimes I wake up and I even have a thought and I think to myself, this would make a really interesting conversation. And actually today is one of those cases. I woke up and I thought to myself, how many bottles are too many bottles? And would I ever be able to finish a bottle given my extensive collection? I think I would like to start this conversation with posing you the question, how many bottles is actually too much? And have you ever finished a bottle? That's super, super important. Now, from my side, I'm not necessarily looking at a specific number. I'm not thinking like 50 is too much, 20 is too much, 100 is too much, or even 200 is too much. I'm just more puzzled by the fact that all these bottles struggle to get wears. And I've already covered this thing briefly in some reviews, maybe even some FragTalks, but my finite resource is actually time. Wearing time, that is. Fragrance wearing time. I just don't have time to wear all my fragrances, and it becomes a selection process. It becomes, all right, which one I am drawn to the most and which one I feel like wearing. And if you have a lot of bottles, you can't really rotate them all in and out. Or rather, you definitely could, but then the fragrances you like the most would get the same amount of wears of everything else in your collection, which is very pragmatic, and I'm all for pragmatism, but it would not be super satisfying. I tend to gravitate to some fragrances based on mood, based on weather, based on whatever. And it's very, very important for me to be able to reach to those fragrances because they complete my mood, they complete my day. And some fragrances in my collection get barely any wears. I'm not saying that they're not worthy of my collection because I am attached to them. For example, the zoologist fragrances, I don't wear them a ton, but I really, really like them. I might be rambling at this point and maybe even going around in circles, but that's totally fine because this is what this format is all about. But at some point, I really have to ask myself a question. How many fragrances should I have in my collection to give them all a fair chance? Or maybe should I divide the collection in two branches, the one that I collect because of the sake of collecting and the ones that I want to actually wear? Am I overthinking this? Am I putting too much thought in this very free-flowing means of expression? I'm not really sure. All I know is that I'm pretty much aware that it's going to be very, very difficult for me to actually finish a bottle in my collection. And that is something that I'm kind of missing. I realize that this conversation is somewhat tying into the signature scent one. And I already covered that topic in a previous FragTalk in one of the section 2s that I filmed outdoors. But it does kind of feel funny. You know, our parents, our grandparents maybe had 1, 2 fragrances, maybe even 3 fragrances, but they would go through bottles. And those are super cool achievements, super cool milestones. It feels really, really good to finish a product and to be like, all right, I need a next bottle of this. It's rare. It's almost impossible for me. I rotate stuff in and out. My collection is always shifting. So I don't really go through bottles at all. And I think that when I get bored of a fragrance, I just sell it off or trade it. It's an interesting topic because I was looking at some stats and I realized that the average fragrance bottle with the average atomizer basically grants you about 10 sprays per ml, which is basically telling you that a 100 ml bottle offers 1,000 sprays. And if you wear 4 sprays per day of a fragrance, you'll be going through the whole fragrance in 250 days, almost a whole year. So what happens if you have 20 bottles? That will take you basically a decade to use them all. It's crazy, and I have way more than 20 bottles. It's really, really jarring when you look at the numbers. You're thinking, I guess I'll never finish a fragrance. And it's not sad or anything. I'm not upset about it. It just means that you'll probably never achieve the milestone of ever finishing a bottle. It's crazy. Unless you overspray it, you'll never get to that point of needing another bottle of the same fragrance. I dare to say it, but the average advanced fragrance enthusiast, people who watch this channel, people that care about the fragrance art, have way more than 20 fragrances, which absolutely makes the numbers go completely bonkers. This topic, this video was actually inspired by a video that I've watched recently from a new content creator called Kay. I'll be linking to his channel down in the description. Be sure to give him some love. On that note, with the evening light sort of fading, going behind the mountain, because this is indeed my evening walk, which I really, really cherish, by the way. And I do recommend you guys take some time to go outdoors to just clear the mind. Anyway, I was saying on that note, I would have to ask you the question, Would you be open to reducing your collection in order to finish a bottle? How much is it a priority to you? I think that I'll be challenging myself to finish a bottle, not necessarily by overspraying, but to really committing to a scent. I'm not necessarily sure if it's a good idea or not because it might take away wears from other stuff, which I might need to review. And I already covered this topic, but I'm a little bit in a particular situation because I feel the need to wear stuff because I need to bring you reviews, I need to bring you first impressions, I need to keep buying stuff because of unboxings, and it feels sometimes like a curse. And again, I'm not complaining whatsoever. I feel very, very fortunate about being able to do this stuff. I talk about fragrances with a passionate manner. I'm not selling you guys anything. I purchase fragrance on my own terms. I just like fragrances. I like what fragrances communicate. I like the language of perfumery in general. But it does sometimes make me think, my collection is growing and growing. And if you go back to my early videos, I talk about how I really wanted to keep my collection at around 50 bottles because those 50 bottles, in my opinion, allow for a good rotation, a good variety. And eventually, you might just be able to finish a bottle. Again, maybe I'm fixating too much on this finishing a bottle thing, but it does feel like a milestone. It feels like I'm missing out in fragrance terms. Isn't finishing a bottle kind of a way of honoring a fragrance, honoring the product and its functionality? Isn't it a way to really ingrain it into your memory, to make it part of your persona, and to just move it into the past? I think that's a cool concept. Have you ever finished a bottle? I'm really, really curious. Please leave a comment down below. Tell me about your experience about this. Are you the kind of person that just likes to have very few bottles and finish them and go through them? Or are you the kind of person that likes a big collection that you can dip in and out of? It's so weird because I'm here in front of the camera, realizing that I'm completely overthinking this whole process. But deep down, I truly believe that I could be more happy with fewer fragrances that I would actually be able to finish. I like the idea of honoring a product. I like the idea of using a product for its intended purpose. And again, it's super hilarious because here I am, once again, in front of the camera, talking to you guys about this very topic, standing on a collection of over 100 fragrances. It's a conundrum. I don't know what to do about it. I think I'm going to go on a massive declutter. But again, how do I talk about fragrances without having fragrances, I think it's an interesting conversation, and at least it might be an interesting talking point. And this might all be fueled by the fact that deep down, I feel like a minimalist. I feel very, very frugal. I don't like owning products that don't serve their purpose. But again, here I am collecting fragrances. I collect zoologists because I like the theme of the house. Here I am collecting menofuscioni because I really believe that that is art in a bottle, and it teaches me a little bit more about the guy. I don't know what to say. I think that we're going to just move on to showcasing fragrances. So yeah, back to fragrances. All right, time to shift the mood. Time to talk about some fragrances that I've been wearing a lot recently. Some stuff that I really, really like. This one here is by Perfume Roma, and it's Aqua Viva. I absolutely love this. It's pretty much the ultimate citrus scent. It smells incredibly natural, so realistic, so juicy. It has really, really great staying power. But I've been wearing it because I've been latching on to the last days of sunlight. And I'm not a fan of the heat. I don't like summer because of that. I like summer because of the long days. I really like fall and winter, but the short days really kill my mood. When it's dark at about 4 p.m., I don't know. I just don't feel it. And this fragrance to me represents summer. It represents daylight. It represents fun outdoors. It represents these hikes. And what can I say more about this fragrance? I featured it so much in many videos as options. I even gave it its full review, full of details. And by all means, go check out that video if you want more information on Aqua Viva. But to sum it up, this is just happiness in a bottle. It smells absolutely beautiful. Today, after a long hike, I took a shower, I sprayed this on, and I was like, yes, this smells like summer. It smells like happiness. It smells almost like being a child. It doesn't necessarily transport me anywhere. It's not super narrative. It's not like the kerosene summer of '84, but it's so particular. And Perfume Roma in general is one of my favorite houses just because they have an incredibly strong identity. They do stuff in their own manner. They don't really care about the market. They don't really care about influencers. They just keep pursuing their vision with products like these. This is a high recommendation if you're looking for a very realistic lemon scent. It's absolutely beautiful, and it definitely deserves a spot on this list because I've been wearing it a crap ton this week before I retire it for the time being until the next season. There are two fragrances that I want to showcase are actually recent acquisitions from the same brand, and I got these recently because I was inspired by my buddy Curtis from the channel Curtis Knows. Link in the description. These two are from Maxim Perfumes, and they're absolutely beautiful. One is Ludmarin, and the other one is Bestia Sacra. These things are powerhouses, and I'm so happy to finally get my nose on Maxim. And to be completely honest, before Curtis, I had no idea about the house, but I quickly discovered that Maxim is actually the son of Dmitry Bortnikov. So they had the same sort of style. These fragrances are absolutely incredible. They feature a lot of funkiness, the funkiness that I like, and they smell very, very natural. And you can definitely pick up on a little bit of that Bortnikov DNA in here, but these are wrapped up in a completely different package. The interesting thing about Maxim is that he takes those very high quality ingredients typical of Bortnikov, but he adds a lot of storytelling to the fragrances. They feel way less random. Bortnikov fragrances sometimes can feel a little bit random. Not necessarily random, but it feels like they're composed based on the ingredients. It feels like they're an ode to those ingredients, which is cool. It's okay. It's typical of that sort of style of perfumery, the very artisanal style of perfumery, which is also in common to something like Arijadora. But Maxim really takes it to the next level, in my opinion, and he attaches a story to these fragrances. Let's start off with Bestia Sacra. This one here is basically a full-on musk fragrance. It's a musky, oody, funky, animalic fragrance, which really, really surprised me. It's different for sure. It smells like, I'm not really sure what it smells like because it's so particular, but it's basically meant to replicate the idea of this ritual, of this sacred beast ritual, maybe in the forest, maybe over a campfire. There's a little bit of smokiness, there's a lot of musk in the air. And it has this ambery warmness, which is not necessarily clean. It's not super mass appealing, it's just incredibly strange. I love it, it's absolutely awesome, but it does indeed have a good degree of funk, which I find kind of challenging. Challenging to a point where I wouldn't necessarily wear this to work. It smells a little bit like animal breath. It's weird because at the same time, it's so warm, it's so enveloping. It feels like a warm hug, like a warm blanket. Really, really cool stuff. I'll definitely have to put in a lot of wears to finally bring you a full review. Bestia Sacra is super fun. I really recommend sampling it if you're into animalic fragrances that go next level, because this is pretty advanced stuff. If you're into animalic fragrances that feature a good degree of high quality animalic musks, this thing here is a doozy. Trust me, you will not go unnoticed. This is really, really something. It smells like an animal. It smells like a campfire. It smells like some sort of a weird spiritual ritual in the forest that is summoning an animal. Again, it smells like animal breath. It's so weird, but at the same time, it's so good. I love it. I don't know what it is about it, but I'm so addicted to the smell. Again, I would not necessarily wear it at the office, but your mileage may vary. Even in the dry down, the animalics are still very, very prominent. The longevity of this is actually pretty good, I would have to say. It's just one of those solo fragrances. Let's just call it that. It's a solo fragrance for this sort of environment, for this sort of like meditative purpose. I love it so much. Really, really cool. I really applaud Maxim because on their website, you can see their scent journeys where they feature these. And it really tells you a lot about the idea behind the fragrance. And again, it feels so not random. It's purposeful. It's artistic. Super cool. I love it. The other fragrance by Maxim that I wanted to showcase, one that I'm also incredibly happy to own, is, as I said before, Ludmarin. And this one here, despite the very scary dark color of the liquid, is actually, in my opinion, more wearable than the other one. It's still animalic, it's still very challenging, but it doesn't go beast, it doesn't go feral, it doesn't smell like animal breath, it doesn't smell like an animal in general. This is an oud fragrance, through and through. It's a very unique take on oud. It smells quite different from all of the other ouds that I've smelled on the market. It has a very distinct salty note. And again, it probably has to do with the fact that this is called Ludmarin. And if you look at Maxim's website, they very clearly reference the fact that this is kind of representing the idea of this ship carrying oud that eventually gets sunk. And the oud is basically taking up on the saltiness from the ocean. Very, very cool. I think that this is absolutely beautiful. It's very, very rich. It's smoky. And as I said before, this saltiness is kind of counteracting with the sweetness of this smoke, this incense. This is very, very comforting. It's very meditative. This is definitely a dark scent, as you can probably guess by the color of the liquid, but it's not as dark, not as dense as something like Interlude 53 by Amouage. That one there really sinks to the bottom of the room, kind of like a lingering fog. This one here is a lot more mid-tone centric. It has a good push off the skin. It has incredible longevity, but it feels a little bit more airy, has a little bit more zing. The woodiness in here is absolutely beautiful. This is one of those meditative scents that I really put on to just zone in. Zone in, or for that Zen experience. It has this woodiness, this smokiness, a little bit of salty sweetness. This is super interesting. I really, really like it. It feels insanely high quality, and it definitely carries a lot more of that Bortnikov DNA, that high quality ingredient driven approach. This is really, really cool. I can't wait to wear this more this fall and winter. Actually, come to think about it, in my opinion, this is almost a 4-season scent because again, it's very particular, and especially in the dry down, it becomes very, very beautiful. It's so alluring, so mysterious. I think that this is definitely a lot more wearable than Bestia Sacra. Bestia Sacra smells like an animal. This one here does not. This one here smells like a weird smoky wood. Again, like an oud. It's a very particular oud, objectively, especially given that saltiness, but it doesn't smell bad. It doesn't smell off-putting. Obviously, if you're a novice to oud, if you're a novice to animalic scents, you have to really sample this first. But if you're into that sort of scent profile, this one here is really, really good. Wow. Overall, I think that Ludmarin hits the mark of storytelling a little less than Bestia Sacra. Bestia Sacra is very particular. It really drives that point forward. It really gives you this idea of being in this forest with this campfire and this hum, this ritual summoning this beast. This one here, not so much. I'm not really picking up on the ocean. There's really no ocean image whatsoever. It's more of this piece of wood, which is kind of infused with salt crystals. It smells crusty, and it's really, really nice, but it's mostly that. I like them both though, and my God, Maxime really pulled off something special with these two. I can't wait to get some of their older offerings. I really have to catch up on the brand because this is so overlooked. I feel dumb. I don't know, I never even knew about this brand. I saw Curtis talk about them constantly actually, and I was like, wow, I really have to try these Maxime. Awesome, awesome, awesome fragrances. All right, time to wrap this up. It's getting dark. It's actually kind of getting cold and damp. I've had my sandwich. I had my drink. I took breaks here and there. This is a beautiful place. Again, it's my evening walk. It's my time to escape. Today, just to recap, we talked about various things, specifically bottles. How many is too many? And are you into the idea of completing a bottle? I think I am, and I think I'll give it a try. And other than that, the fragrances that I've been wearing, one is very evocative of summer. I love it, Aqua Viva. Such a sunshine bringer. The other two are more experimental. Again, these are first impressions here. I got them just recently, and I really, really like them. I love animalic fragrances. And these two fragrances are actually the scents that I was referring to in my last fragrance updates video when I said that I found myself rediscovering animalics after being sick, after taking a break from fragrances due to illness. All right, as I said, time to wrap it up. It's getting cold, it's getting dark. I gotta head home. And yeah, just leave me a comment down below. I'm always open to talk about anything. I'm open to any sort of suggestion. I'll be definitely looking forward to bringing you the fall colors here because it's magnificent. And I guess that's it. And see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, as usual. Bye.